Hello and welcome. Welcome to Your Health Matters. Great to be here and thanks for tuning in. My name's Karl Sterling. You're listening to News Radio 570 WSYR, also available on 106.9 FM. Folks, I'm on a mission. You know me. I'm on a mission to educate. Today, I have the honor of having my number one teacher, mentor, joining us. And she's been on the show twice previously, but today we're going to be talking about her new book called Sensory Sapiens. And of course, I'm speaking about Dr. Emily Splichal. Dr. Emily, it's so great to have you here and great to see you again. How you doing?
I'm doing amazing. You know, I love doing anything with you, Karl.
We go back many years. We've done some traveling and working and teaching for you and with you, and just I when I say you're my number one, everybody knows it. I'm not just saying it because you're here. You know, I wouldn't do that. You have helped me so much to help other people. So thank you for all your great, great work.
So welcome. So welcome. And thank you as well.
Well, and also bravo and congratulations on this new epic book called Sensory Sapiens, which just came out. And I was fortunate enough, thank you for giving me the honor of seeing it before the release date. And your publisher sent me over the manuscript. And I'm like, oh, I read it in one sitting because I couldn't put it down. It's like, holy cow, man. She keeps evolving and evolving, and I keep learning more and more, but that's how you are. That's how I am. But I'm not, I don't know what you know. So I just love learning from you. Congrats on the book.
Thank you.
Tell us, how did this book come to be? I mean, you've been at it for a while here talking about sensory. I remember, we talk about all the time in my clinic. We're always doing barefoot. We're talking about importance of information to the brain and awareness of what's underneath us and vibration forces and everything else. But the first book, Barefoot Strong, obviously game changer, but that's 10 years ago, right? Or nine.
It is. It is. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, tell us about the new book.
Yeah. So I would say evolution is definitely the best way to say this. And that's really what Sensory Sapiens is supposed to represent is my evolution or my journey through understanding the nervous system, the feet, how I look at the feet, how the feet connect to the rest of the body, the power of the nervous system, not just on foot health and movement, but really our mood, our cognition, or our memory, and then longevity. So, first book, Barefoot Strong, really, as the name says, is everything based around the feet, footwear, understanding your foot type, the power of the human foot from a sensory and biomechanical perspective, and then in this journey over the last 10 years, I've started looking at things like interoception, which is your intuition, the autonomic nervous system, how we perceive safety, fight or flight, and even polyvagal theory and all of those things. And then have seen a lot of shifts in my patients and through looking at different research of the power of touch. And I realized that for me to just look at the foot as a sensory gateway is very limiting to the power of the nervous system and really the foot as well. But the nervous system is our eyes, it's ears, it's the joints, it's touch, it's our gut intuition, it's our fascial web. So everything is very deeply integrated and much more complex than simply thinking of the foot as a sensory gateway.
Sure. I love the arena of interoception and exteroception. We've talked about it before on the show. We've had conversations. One of my favorite examples, and this is going to be a pretty lame example. I'm sure you'll have a much better one, but interoception, we're looking internally, right? Exteroception, we're really looking externally. Like I'm late for the plane and I've got to run to the gate and my heart's beating fast, but I'm only focused on that. And I'm not even aware that my heart's beating faster, that I'm sweating and out of breath because I just want to get there before they shut the door.
Mm-hmm.
Then I get there, hopefully get through the door. I'm out of breath, maybe. And all of a sudden I'm going intero thinking, wow, look at how I feel, plus the anxiety that goes with it, right? But can you give us another example of, let's say, interoception?
Yeah. So interoception is our internal awareness. The best example that is used in research and when you're looking at the power of connecting to interoceptive awareness, internal awareness, is your heart beating. That is the most common one that people use. You gave that example as well, right? When you assess interoceptive awareness or accuracy, you do it through what's called heartbeat tracking, which is, can you sit there, shut your eyes, you're not touching anything, you're not touching your pulse, and can you feel your heart beating just by shutting your eyes and reflecting inwards? And as you do that, you want to count how many heartbeats you feel, and then you compare that to your actual pulse. So that would be a way to assess perception to reality, which is very important. I think in modern society and the go of 2025 and all the fun stuff is that we start to lose connection of ourself, that many people are moving around sensorially disconnected. They don't feel that they have this rising irritation or impatient or this rising sense of survival that is, I feel, deeply just ingrained in everyone's nervous system, that we vibrate at. I mean, when you look at, I'm very into manifesting and visualization. Low vibration is actually anger, upset, fear. Like those are low vibrations in the world of visualization, manifesting. But so if you're talking about vibration and emotion and the connection to your nervous system, that low vibe, or it's almost like a dysregulated vibration energetically, most people don't realize that that is their state. So the more that you connect to your internal interoception, your breath, your heart beating, all of that, that you become better in touch with your exteroceptive relationship, which means you stand different posturally. You know this because you work with people with movement disorders, is that the more we become disconnected to our posture or the way your foot strikes the ground, this clumsiness or this increased risk of fall, this increased energy expenditure, that contributes to it. So there's a huge interplay between interoceptive awareness and exteroceptive awareness, connecting to your emotional state with connecting to your posture and how you move.
Yeah, that's all really fascinating. I remember going through the heartbeat exercise with you. This is a while back when you were a guest presenter on an online COVID workshop. I had one of those online workshops during COVID. You were a guest presenter, and we did that exercise, and I couldn't believe how much how much I was lacking, because I'm counting my heartbeats, and then I checked my pulse, and it wasn't that close. And then I actually felt out of touch. I said, geez, I guess I'm not as in touch as I thought I was. Is that common? I mean, are there people who experience this often?
Yes. And so that typically, so when I'm teaching a professional about this, that they will often say that it is the same client who lacks postural awareness.
Oh,
When they do the heartbeat tracking, they're like, what? Feel my heart beating without touching my pulse? How do I do that? Right? You'll find patterns in people when you start to understand interoception and exteroception.
yeah, that's fascinating. I love it. I love it. Well, the book is called Sensory Sapiens. And on my website, karlsterling.com, that's Karl with a K, you can go to the books section, and it's going to be top of the list, folks, and you click through to buy it. But also, if people want to go direct, we're going to talk about actually where to get it when we come back, because we do need to cut out to a break here in a few seconds. So we're with Dr. Emily Splichal, author of this brand new book that I absolutely love called Sensory Sapiens. This is News Radio 570 WSYR, and we're heading out to break. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. All right, welcome back. We were Dr. Emily Splichal today, author of Sensory Sapiens, and so many other things she's involved in. The founder of Noboso Technology, which of course you all know if you've been in my clinic. We have all this Noboso stuff here, and many of you have purchased the insoles, and you know that they're working really, really well. Well, Dr. Emily is a leader in the field. She's, like I said, my number one. I look to her to see what she's up to because whatever she's doing, I always want to know about it, because it just blows my mind what you do. Um, I wanted to start with a question here about why is it that sensory awareness is so fundamental to our longevity in relation to movement?
Yeah, absolutely. So I often say that the quality of our movement is more important than the quantity of our movement. And some may disagree with that, but I truly believe that if you are bringing in high quality, sensory rich based movement to your day, you are then meeting the requirements to stimulate the brain, stimulate the peripheral nervous system, the circulatory system, the fascial system, our foot to core. You are hydrating the body. You're essentially checking as many boxes as possible when you're thinking of it from a sensory based approach. Now, to say that a little bit different way, the way that our body moves from a neurological perspective is there's always afferent, then efferent. So afferent is sensory awareness, sensory in, and then motor out. That's how your nervous system works, right? We touch something, we stimulate a joint, information in, movement motor out. So when I work with people to optimize their movement accuracy, their movement efficiency, their movement longevity, my first question is, what is their relationship to sensory stimulation? How much sensory stimulation are they bringing in? And then of that sensory stimulation they're bringing in, how much of it do they actually perceive? Do they actually notice? And we have to remember that we are continuously bombarded with stimulation, noise, touch, sound, lights, all of this that we have to be able to direct. We have to be directors of our own nervous system in a way and cue it of what to tune into. Obviously, this is a big foot journey part of it because most are disconnected from their feet. So it's using things like, do I feel my feet? As I'm standing here, do I feel the tripod? As I stand here, do I feel my center of mass? A lot of this plays in with what's called body schema, which is your mind's mental picture of your body in space. And we lose that with age. We lose that when you have a neurological diagnosis like MS, Parkinson's, stroke, etc. You start to break or slow down your mind image. And that's where that, I truly believe, is one of the greatest contributors to falls and inaccuracies in movement that result in injury.
Oh, absolutely. Because that breakdown it just puts people at a higher risk of all kinds of problems, and the falls being statistically still the number one complications from a fall, I should say, being the number one cause of mortality in Parkinson's. But basically, even in the aging population, if we look at statistically, I'll be 65 next year. So 65 and up, you fall down and break a hip or a femur 1 year later. It depends on if you're looking at Peter Attia or some other people, it depends on where you're getting your data from, but minimum 15% of those people research says are dead within a year. Now, that's a scary number. Some research is 20, 25, 30%. But what's even, almost as sad as people dying is most of the people a year later after the fall, they're not back to where they were movement-wise right before the fall. And so therein lies, let's say, a problem with a lot of things. And so this, we've got to be on the preemptive, folks. We have got to be preemptive. We've got to do a preemptive strike so that we intervene before anything can happen to us to the best of our ability Like I say often, I'm going off just here for a moment, Dr. Emily, but this all ties in with the theme of the show, which is, for example, I never met a 90-year-old who said, oh my gosh, I have way too much muscle. It just doesn't happen. And, I've never met, there are hardly any people out there who have too much muscle. If anything, they probably don't have enough. And as we age, there's the obligatory muscle decay that happens. It just happens. It's part of the aging process. But we have got to get in and intervene, be on the offense, be active in a preventative manner. And so this whole concept, the whole lifestyle really of connecting with ourselves, feet connection to the ground, being knowing our awareness of our surroundings and things like that. Awareness of our surroundings. I'm not even going to edit that one out. That's a new thing. Our surroundings and our awareness. So, yeah, I mean, this is a real thing. So let's move a little bit more, though. Let's move into. Can we talk about how gravity is actually our friend?
Yes.
Because I love this.
I love to talk about gravity. It's just so funny.
Me too. It is because of you that I learned to talk about it. But tell us more. Why is gravity so good for us?
Gravity is literally everything to what stimulates your bone density, your nervous system, your fascial system. Your circulatory system, if we were not in this gravitational field that we have on Earth, so many things would change, and everyone takes it for granted. So the way that we stand and feel our body in space is based off of gravity. A lot of people think of gravity as obviously a downward force. So if you throw something up, it's inevitably going to come down, right? This is Newton's law or something like that, as far as this rate of return. But you can also think of gravity as like a hug. So a great example of this would be like weighted blankets. A weighted blanket, which are now well known on the market, they help you sleep better, right? The reason why they help people sleep better is because the added weight helps you to feel your body in space. You feel sensorially yourself, so you feel safe, so your nervous system can downregulate and you fall asleep, right? Now imagine what that can do based off of how you are moving, your balance, your walking, your sensory awareness, right? Is if you increase gravity through wrist weights, weighted apparel, weighted vests, compression apparel, you are connecting to your body as it moves through space. Gravity to our feet is ground reaction forces. And if we didn't have ground reaction forces, which is your body's energy to take the next step, we would not be able to move efficiently. You would not be able to take 20,000 steps a day easily. It would be extremely exhausting and would take all of your energy capacity to do that. So we, by design, need gravity to move well, to walk, to stand, and like I said, to build bone density, to maintain muscle mass, to drive circulation. The best example, and I talk about it in my book, Sensory Sapiens, is by looking at astronauts. And astronauts is a great demonstration of what happens to the body when we spend several months, just a couple months, without gravity. There's a lot of damaging changes that occur.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad you brought that up, because I was going to say something about that, but you already did. Yes. A lot of changes, not so good either. One of my favorite examples of how gravity can be used to our advantage is the pitcher in a baseball game, and you're lining up and you're going to, well, imagine now being lifted in a harness where your feet are no longer in contact with the ground. I think I learned this from you years ago at a workshop. Now I wind up and take that pitch. Your accuracy's off, your velocity's way lower. You don't have the force because you don't have the gravity. So, because you're in a harness hanging, right? All right, folks, we got to head to break. This is News Radio 570 WSYR. You're listening to Your Health Matters. My name is Karl Sterling. Our very special guest today is my very dear friend and my number one mentor, Dr. Emily Splichal. We'll be back after this short break. All right, we're back. We're with Dr. Emily Splichal. We're talking about her new and amazing book called Sensory Sapiens. This is a real masterpiece, Dr. Emily. I love how you've tied everything together in this book. That's really, it's just so comprehensive on so many levels. What I was wondering is, can we, first of all, where can people buy the book? What's the best place to go?
Yep. So you can order it now on naboso.com, naboso.com, which is where obviously all the other Naboso products are, or on Amazon. So it is available in Amazon all around the world, not just the US based Amazon, and then Naboso in the US.
Great. Okay. So go to naboso.com, everybody. There's going to be a link in all the descriptions and all the platforms, a hot link you can just click and go. naboso.com, naboso.com. Hey, let's talk about this foot to core stuff, which I love. In the book, you highlight the importance of activating the connection between the feet and the core muscles so that we can enhance balance, movement, and prevent injuries. Can we talk more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So in Barefoot Strong, my first book, I did talk about the feet, foot activation, short foot, which is one of my favorite exercises. In Sensory Sapiens, I put a little bit more into our pelvis and just the uniqueness of the human pelvis and the pelvic floor, which is our center of gravity. We were just talking about gravity. So that center of gravity, deep core pelvic floor is myofascially connected to our feet, specifically your toes. Your toe flexors are how you anchor your toes. Very, very important to how you activate your deep core. And then technically, this stabilization pathway continues all the way up to your tongue. So we have a stacking between our foot, our pelvic floor. Your pelvic floor blends into your diaphragm. So that's how you breathe, which then stacks into your pellet, which would then represent the tongue. So foot, pelvic floor, diaphragm, pellet, tongue is essentially our body's soft tissue postural skeleton, but it's soft tissue. It's not made of bone. It's made of fascia. And that is how we relate to gravity. And then that starts this sensory story that we call human movement.
I love that. I just love it. Like, there's nothing more than I love than this stuff. It's just, I get so excited talking about it. I don't even know why I'm laughing because I love it so much. That's how much I love it. So we have foot to core. I remember being in Dubai at the master trainer workshop. I think that's going on 11 years ago, man. I mean, remember that it was so hot there? It's like 125 degrees Fahrenheit, and everyone went out at night at 11 to play, like run and do sports, play volleyball. Because it was only 94 at night. But I remember really learning in depth about this with practical applications for days about foot to core. And it really, really, really helped me so much. How about the arena of fascial fitness?
Yes.
That's so much a big deal that, in our world, the circles you and I travel in, we talk about it a lot, but the world's not talking about it a lot. So let's talk about it.
Yeah. Fascia, so this connection between our feet and our core, that's a fascial connection. Fascia, which is your connective tissue, tendons, ligaments, retinaculum, periosteum, anything that is internally this spider web connecting our body. The way that I want the listeners to think about it in a maybe different way than just my IT band, it feels tight, or my plantar fascia, my foot feels tight. That's where people connect to fascia primarily, is that this connective tissue web has over 100 million sensory nerves. So it is packed with nerves that are seeking stimulation that is stimulated every time you move your body. So I consider your fascia as an extension of your brain. So if you want to cognitively protect yourself, prevent dementia and Alzheimer's and this cognitive decline, you have to move. But you have to move the right way. You have to move in a way that is stimulating the fascial system the most effectively. using things like isometrics, doing different types of ballistics, using compression and weighted vests and things that I described earlier that is fascially stimulating, vibration, whole body vibration, texture, all of that is fascially stimulating. And the more that you can tap into and factor in the health of this myofascial spider web, the more that that supports longevity. And this is why I did want to write this book, is that you do have longevity experts and doctors who are really pushing their way in the longevity space, and they talk about movement. Peter Attia talks about movement. Now we have to do it, but to me, it's more quantitative based than qualitative based. And I believe we have to be qualitative based in the movement, meaning what are we doing for that fascia, which then connects to the brain? How fast are you walking? Not just are you walking, but are you walking fast enough? And when you're walking, could you stimulate your hands at the same time? Because this is a gateway to your brain as well, right? So I'm very into trying to be as efficient and thoughtful in every movement that we do to then, like I said, check every boxes. And I don't know if that's like the type A in me, that's the realist, that's the New Yorker. I don't know. Try to be like really, or I've just been working with patients for so many years that you need to make it as frictionless as possible for people to successfully achieve things, which is where I say check as many boxes. If you are going to walk your dog anyway, throw on something weighted and do it. If you're going to brush your teeth, release your feet on the neural ball. If you're going to be doing something, could you do it on a vibration platform? Like if you're going to do some bicep curls, what if we did it on a vibration platform? Just to get a little bit more out of every exercise as possible.
Well, I'm all for it. I think it's something that is not looked at enough, and bringing awareness around that is so important to me because, I like the idea of qualitative instead of quantitative because I I know people who move a whole lot, but they're moving horribly and they're going 15,000 steps a day and they've got all kinds of movement compensation patterns because of imbalances here and there, or it's causing pain. And next thing you know, they're out of service and they're not walking for a while because they had surgery. So if we can move better, it's sure it's going to help us to move for longer. That seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's by me saying that to focus on qualitative versus quantitative, I'm just trying to get people to pause and kind of say, like, huh, that's a new way to think about what I'm heard. I feel like everyone knows we need to move. So when any longevity expert is saying you have to move, you have to take this many steps, you need to, well, yes, of course, we know that, right? It's kind of like saying you need a certain amount of protein and things like that. We understand these things high level because we've been told them for decades. So that's where I want to try to reposition it, that has people kind of stop for a second and kind of say, huh. And then could that inspire or motivate behavior change in a different way? Because it's a little different. It's something fresh, right? We still need to also be intrigued, and your brain continuously wants to be challenged and stimulated in new, fun, fresh ways. Even if you want that, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, well, with that said, folks, we're going to head out to a break in just a minute. I've read through Sensory Sapiens twice now, and I have a lot of notes about it. All I can say is you need to get it. And you can get it at naboso.com, naboso.com. You can also go to my site, karlsterling.com, Karl with a K, go to the books tab. It's at the top of the list. Click through and get it. You can also go to Amazon. And it's by our special guest today, Dr. Emily Splichal. My number one mentor, and I'm saying it again because it's true, and I can't thank you enough for all you've done to help me to help people. And Thank you. We got to go to break, but we've had one more segment coming with Dr. Emily in just a moment. This is News Radio 570 WSYR. See you in a couple of minutes. Okay, we're back. And today we're with Dr. Emily Splichal. We're talking about her new book, Sensory Sapiens. We talk a lot on this show about neuroplasticity. And actually for years in my, my business here and in the work that I do, I thought of it more in the domains of, let's say, cognition, memory, different types of cognition. But there's way more to it than this. I mean, there's a mind-body, mind-muscle, mind-fascia connection. So would you mind talking about the role of neuroplasticity in all the things that we're talking about today? How does it affect our movement?
Yes. So the nervous system is plastic. We know that, right? We need to continuously challenge it, shape it, create new motor pathways or new synapses in the brain. That constant evolution and shaping and repair of the brain is very powerful. A lot of that is focused on the brain. So the central nervous system. What's important as a podiatrist and a movement specialist is that people appreciate that same thing happens with your peripheral nervous system, and that we need to continuously stimulate and challenge the peripheral nerves as well. This is why where you will see people who chronically wear supportive shoes, chronically wear cushion, chronically use custom arch supports or arch supports, that they will get a denervation or an atrophy of their foot muscles, which is essentially demonstrating that dependency on those items. However, if you take the shoes away and the support and you wake up the feet and you use vibration and texture and stimulate the intrinsic muscles, you will get a renervation. You will get a strengthening of the small muscles in the feet. What we don't use, we lose, right? So that moniker, you don't use it, you lose it thing.
Yeah.
Is true. And that's why I push people to always push into their nervous system. If you have some sort of a neuropathy or a delayed perception of your feet, your foot awareness, you still need to train barefoot, obviously safely with everything, but you need to bring in as much sensory stimulation as you can and in a very thoughtful way. So for neuroplasticity, not just cognitive brain,
Sure.
nervous system, we need to think of it as a peripheral nervous system as well, which means sensory motor and autonomic.
Yeah, that's just such a game changer right there because, without a brain, we're not going to move. If it's not functioning, we're not moving. But like Huberman says, it's obviously a lot of people say this, but if we look at our brain and our nervous system, like peripheral, central, it's all a continuous loop. If there's a breakdown anywhere in this, things get messed up. There's delay in this and delays in that, or maybe a malfunction here or there, where you're not able to move a body part or something like that. So this idea that neuroplasticity is brain only it is brain, but it's nervous systems too. And I think this is so powerful to know this and be able to work on training our brain and our nervous systems. It's a beautiful thing. How about when it comes to things like, circulation? I mean, this is a big deal. We have people often who come in with neuropathy. Could be diabetic neuropathy, could be other neuropathy. Just they don't have feeling, or if they do, they have tingly, maybe pain in their feet, and maybe the feet are discolored. It might be a little bit not so pretty looking, purple, whatever, but circulation is off. So can we just touch on the arena of, let's say, circulation and also go into recovery a little bit too?
Yeah. So the where I want people to focus on the circulation of what I try to do with all of my work is to spin it in a new way or add something that is fresh or just a layer deeper that causes people to pause or go, that's interesting. So when it comes to our circulatory system, most people will think of, obviously, we have our heart, we have our aorta, so we have these large blood vessels. Anyone who's familiar with like Normatec boots or compression sleeves, that is really focusing on larger circulation, macro circulatory. We have within our system a micro circulatory system as well. These are the itty bitty blood vessels. Find a lot of them in the feet, which is why as a podiatrist, this is my focus. But they're itty bitty blood vessels that go to your peripheral nerves. And so if you want healthy peripheral nervous system, you want to feel your feet, you want really good motor nerves, sensation of your skin, you have to think about microcirculation. Microcirculation is also part of recovery. It is the microcirculation that goes to your eyes, to your kidneys, to your feet, right? All of those we have to think about. Now, those are stimulated through movement. So just 50 steps, you get an increase in a microcirculation through vibration, which is one of the reasons I absolutely love using whole body vibration, and through texture. Texture, of course, Naboso being texture. So we want to not just think about large blood vessel macrocirculation, but the itty bitty blood vessels, the microcirculation that supplies your skin. So skin temperature is a microcirculation function.
Okay. Yeah. I just was thinking of something here. So when we're talking about, so let's get into just a little bit about if we get the circulation moving more effectively. Well, it sounds like we have blood flow going. We got oxygen starting to move around more. This is a recovery type of mechanism, right? I mean, oxygen is a healing molecule, if you will. And I say this a lot on the air. I mean, we got to get blood and oxygen to our brain. If we don't have the blood to our brain, we wouldn't get the oxygen. So there's other parts that we got to get it everywhere in the body to have mitochondrial health, just overall health. So these micro blood vessels, from my understanding, there are how many how many millions or thousands in the feet?
There's so many. The itty bitties, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
But yes, so from a longevity perspective, from a peak performance, from a cancer prevention, whatever it is yes, you need to prevent stasis. And this is advocated on all aspects of the longevity space. I am just getting into PEMF and really the aspect of what that has. I love that that is encouraging to address stasis and try to get energy and circulation, microcirculation into every aspect of the body. So think of just, honestly, that's why movement. I actually believe that we are designed to move. So you have to move to keep the circulation pump going, macro and micro, for longevity.
Absolutely. She just said it, folks. I didn't have to say it this week, but I'm going to repeat what she said. We are designed to move. Now, the first time I ever heard that was years ago when I had Harvard professor, Dr. John Rady, on the show, right? And he says, humans are designed to move. It's just the way it is, right? So, Dr. Emily, radio minutes are the fastest minutes of my life. I love doing this so much, but it goes by so quickly. We have just under 2 minutes to go. First of all, where can people get the book again? Let's make sure we cover that one more time. There's a hot link in the description. Do you have a takeaway message for our listeners?
Yes, absolutely. So Sensory Sapiens is really pushing that we are designed to be sensory beings. Your mood, memory, and movement. You want to optimize those three things. Optimize your mood, memory, movement. You need to look at it from a sensory perspective. We evolve. We were put on this planet as sensory beings, and sensory stimulation is what shaped us from the moment we were born. So tapping into that is really, on the flip side, what's going to unlock your longevity. So Sensory Sapiens, you can get it on Naboso.com in the US and then on Amazon all around the world.
I love it. I love it. Well, as always, it's a real pleasure to talk with you. And every time we talk, I always learn so much. Thank you.
Of course.
Yeah, good luck with this book, too. I know there's been a lot of publicity around it on social media, and I'm so glad, and I'll help out where I can there. But folks, you gotta buy this book. You've got to buy Sensory Sapiens. So go buy it. You know where to get it. We talked about it. You can click on a hot link in the description of, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, wherever I show up, wherever the show is, you could click and go. So this is Your Health Matters. We've been talking with Dr. Emily Splichal, and the message we have, folks, Dr. Emily says it also, we got to keep moving, man. We just got to keep moving because we're designed to move. You're listening to News Radio 570 WSYR. My name is Karl Sterling. This is Your Health Matters. We'll see you next week for another episode. Thanks for tuning in. Remember, move your body, use your brain every single day.